knowledge that they're big. Both things can be true.
Exactly. I'm not knocking his big ears. I just said bald and big ears are beautiful. This is episode 82 of the Gridiron Podcast, which if you're new here, welcome. We're the only podcast in the world that covers all the grid of Formula One and the iron of American football. We get to switch back and forth on these two topics at will, and we often do. I'm Sean Barry. Joining me as always is our NFL.com talent writer, Nick Run the Damn Ball Shook, holding down the fort in the land, flexing on the haters, and wearing a MoneyGram Haas F1 t-shirt, which is kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
More on that later in story time.
Yes.
And then we've got our Canadian queen holding down the fort in Kimberley, British Columbia, Canada. It's Katie Caldwell.
Great work. It is, in fact, in Canada. Great job, Sean.
Well,
Canada.
It's always like every time you have to write out anytime we're in the States and you have to write out the abbreviation, it's just like, Ontario or Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I'm like, I know it's in Canada. Do I need to add the CAN after? Like, we don't need that. We know it's in Canada.
Then why do you add it? It would get there anyways.
AP style, baby. AP style.
Yes,
I do
you're
respect
goddamn right.
that.
You're goddamn right. And I hate that AP let people start using over and under to signify quantities. And
No,
I
it's
hate
more
that,
than.
And I hate that they allowed you to use single digits instead of spelling out numbers under 10. It drives me insane. Why can't
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. When did this happen?
Yes,
When
these
did
are
this
just
happen?
the small changes. They added swag as a term that's acceptable. Like, actually, that might be the dictionary.
That's okay.
Is nothing sacred anymore? Okay, we are digressing.
It's more than, it's
Aggressively.
less than, and if a number is under 10, you spell out that stupid number.
Damn it.
I feel so seen right now as an English nerd.
The Gridiron Podcast, brought to you by the AP Style Guide, is nothing sacred anymore. Anyway, as I mentioned, we talk about Formula One and football on this podcast. We're going to start by talking about, what was this, week 5 in the NFL? We're already 5 weeks into the season. Then we'll get into the Formula One season, where it stands. We're coming off the back of the Singapore Grand Prix. So we'll get into all that as well. As always, you can find us on social media. We're on Instagram. Where are we at on Instagram, Nick?
At Gridiron Pod. Check
Cool.
us out.
We're on IG at Gridiron Pod. Hit us up there. Katie's in charge of all that. She posts fun content. Share, like, subscribe. Send us a DM. Say what's up. You can also email us if you're old school. Katie, where can they email us?
At the Gridiron Podcast 3. That's at the Gridiron Podcast 3
Damn those other two.
at gmail.com.
All right. We're on Gmail and we're on IG. Hit us up. Got a great show for you today. We're going to recap week 5 of the NFL starting right now with the game that everybody is talking about today, guys, and that would be Monday Night Football. Prime time under the lights of Duval County.
Duval.
Jags. Duval. You know what? Liam Cohen's Jags are sitting at 4-1. He can say Duval however he damn well pleases, because they just beat the Kansas City Chiefs last night. Trevor Lawrence, he gets knocked down, but he gets back up again. You're never going to keep him down. What a weird ending. And I even texted you guys last night. What did I just watch? If you haven't seen it, welcome from the rock that you've just climbed up from under. But essentially, Trevor Lawrence leads a game-winning drive against the Chiefs with under a minute left. First and goal at the 1-yard line. He falls down because one of his guards steps on his feet, and rather than just stay down, he gets back up, realizes that he can run for a touchdown, and does. Actually, he falls down twice. Just one of the weirdest game-winning plays I think I've ever seen, guys.
That game was so funny to me because the whole thing felt like a microcosm of what the Trevor Lawrence experience is, where it's back and forth from like, Jesus Christ, that was a nice throw, to Trevor, what the fuck are you doing? And then, wow, that was such a great run. And then, snap the ball. Snap the ball.
Snap the ball.
Bro, you got to snap the ball. Oh, there's another penalty. Like,
I know the play you're talking about, too, because they wasted 20
there's
seconds
more than
on that
one.
game-winning drive.
Yeah.
you mean
This is-
plays?
This was the full experience. Trevor, don't take that sack. You have a minute and a half left. You're trying to come down and win a game. Why are you taking that sack? You can throw the ball away, Trevor. What are you doing?
Nick, I thought you said it perfectly on NFL Daily, where you said this was the first instance in this decade we got an example of, oh no, you scored with too much time left on the clock for Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars.
True. And it's funny is in the first half, they had the same sequence. It was like a minute 45, and Liam Cohen strangely decides to not take a timeout when the Chiefs are about to punt, and they have like a minute 10 to work with, and they do absolutely nothing, and it's an absolute shit show. And then with the game on the line, there's a minute 42 left, and they have the ball in a very similar scenario, and I'm like, here comes the shit show again. And make no mistake, it was a shit show. It's just a shit show that panned out in their favor because Trevor Lawrence made 2.5 really nice plays in a clutch situation, which just drives me mad because this guy is the #1 overall pick from 2021. He was supposed to be a generational talent. He was supposed to save the Jaguars. It's either been health, injuries, or just like slight inaccuracies. He's never gotten to that point. And even in a game like this, you still see the talent, and yet it drives me insane that they won because it was a sloppy mess. Damn it. I want my winners to make their game-winning drives look pretty, look heroic, majestic, spectacular. This was not spectacular. It was a freaking car crash, but a car crash we couldn't look away from. And somehow both cars rolled and then landed perfectly on their wheels.
You tweeted that last night, Nick, and I responded with a gif from the F1 movie of that just insane crash where
overly dramatic.
Yeah, the overly dramatic, like we see the F1 car spinning in midair, goes over the barriers, which could never happen in a million years. But it was cool for like effect. For the plot, it was cool. And for the plot of this game, this car crash was cool. We do have to admit, like, that pass on that game-winning drive from Trevor Lawrence to Brian Thomas, dropping a bucket. Beautiful. Beautiful. But you're right. He gets one or two, oh my God, amazing plays a game. And then the rest of it is like, what are you doing there, Trevor? What you doing, bud? That round, that's a square hole, and you're trying to fit a triangular peg through it. What you doing there, bud?
What pisses me off is that everybody's going to look back on that game, and they're going to be like, the Jags are 4-1. Why isn't Trevor Lawrence in your top 10 in QB index? Because
get real.
He's living on a razor's edge. It's like riding a roller coaster with it while realizing as you get to the top of the hill that you didn't buckle your seatbelt, and you hope you survive. That's what it is. That's what it is.
One of my biggest nightmares, but thank you.
Yes, that is. Actually, I've died in my dreams many times that way.
It felt like so many times last season we talked about all the dark magic that was surrounding the Chiefs, and every single one of these games would always go their way. And it feels like a bit of the opposite this game. Like I didn't leave that game feeling really bad about the Chiefs.
Yeah,
their offense looks like they're back. Like
they're fine.
They look fine. Oh, speaking of defense, what was Chris Jones doing on that touchdown?
I don't know.
Standing around, enjoying the nice humidity of Jacksonville, Florida.
And it was so funny because the whole broadcast, they kept being like, just wait until Chris Jones makes that signature play. And he did make or do something that we're all talking about today, which is, why were you just standing there?
It looks like he was controlled in like Madden 2025 and like the controller just disconnected. Like that moment where the controller just disconnects and Chris Jones just standing there.
Like, it's like in video
he's
games,
an NPC
like,
now.
When there's like a real like technical bug or a glitch, sometimes they'll take what's called the T pose, or people know it as the Jesus pose, where they just stand there straight with their arms out.
Or George Russell.
Don't move. Yeah, or the George Russell. That's an artistic Jesus pose, but yes. That's the only thing that was missing from Jones on that play was that he didn't go full T pose.
I couldn't understand what I was seeing, and then I kept watching the replay, and I bet I've watched it 15 times since because I keep seeing it pop up on Twitter. And yeah, I don't have an answer. What was he doing there?
His explanation afterwards, too, in his post-game press conference was not good either. He was just like, we got to try harder. Like, no, you have to try harder.
You individually.
Your controller disconnected, and then you were just standing there on the goal line.
I'm watching it again right now.
It's insane.
Oh my God, I wish I could run the video on this. I wish we had rights to it. Jones sheds his block, watches Lawrence fall down, assumes that the play is over, then watches Lawrence get up and run, break a tackle, and becomes full spectator. Just goal line spectator. Like, if he had actually started running after him, he may have been able to chase him down. Instead, he's not there to make the tackle, and Lawrence gets in the end zone. It reminds me of something that Austin Coley always likes to point to, Sean. You'll appreciate this. We used to play basketball together in like elementary school and middle school, and there was a highlight of a play on one of our season-long tapes where a ball goes out of bounds, and like apparently I'm within range to save it. And instead of me going after it, I just stand there and watch it go out of bounds. And his dad roasts me to this day about just standing there and watching the ball go out of bounds, which I admit, at times on the basketball court, I became a bit of a spectator. because the action is just so entertaining. But that is exactly what Chris Jones did on that play. That does not define the game overall. It was a thrilling game, though. It entered my... We do weekly rankings over the course of the season for top 5 games of the year. It made it into my top 5. Actually, no, I don't think it did, but it would have been a candidate for it. It did not make it, but it was a very entertaining game, a bit of a sloppy game. But yeah, like Katie said, I don't feel bad about the Chiefs. I know we talked about this on NFL Daily last night with Greg, and they're fine. Their defense needs to be a little bit better, but I think they're fine. And by the way, those who were like, "Whoa, the Chiefs are 1-2 after 3 weeks. Are you more worried about them or the Ravens?" I'm raisins.
They are raisins at this point.
I'm very
They
much
look like
more
raisins.
worried about the Baltimore Raisins than I am
Print
about
the
the Kansas
t-shirts.
City Chiefs. They're all wrinkled up and look terrible. They're like old grapes. Chiefs are just fine. They're raisins.
It is funny when you look at it this year. Last year, you talked about the black magic from the Chiefs. They were 11-0 in one-score games. This year, 0-3 in one-score games. The script has already been flipped on them. So maybe it is worth worrying about them just a little
No,
bit. Because
they're still going to be there.
But we watched them win these games last year. They won them. We counted on them to win these games, these close games, and they're not doing that this year, Nick.
And they're going to get Rashee Rice back soon, and their offense is going to get that much better. And as long as their defense is competent, they will be just fine. Because they are the Kansas City Chiefs, and they have a quarterback who is better than anybody else in the NFL at improvising and keeping the chains moving forward down the field. Don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that.
The first part of the sentence, it was like one of those, like, you had me in the first half, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
And then when I heard the rest of it, I'm like, okay, now I understand what you're saying.
Speaking of defense, can we move on to a game that didn't have any but was still just as entertaining, if not more so?
Oh, that's the
Why
team
do I
that-
know
that's
exactly
the
where we're
game that
gonna go
involved
here?
your team, I believe.
We're going up into the Pacific Northwest, baby. The all-time uniform matchup of 5 decades in the making. We had the Buccaneers traveling to Seattle wearing their 1976 throwbacks, the white creamsicles, and then you had just the beautiful royal blue and green from the Seattle Seahawks with the silver helmets. It's just, I mean, before the game kicked off, everyone was just talking about the uniform matchup, and I totally forgot they were doing it until Wednesday. I got to the Buccaneers facility for Todd Bowles' press conference, and they had the creamsicle backdrop, and I'm like, they forgot to take the creamsicle backdrop down. Why is that? Oh, that's right. They're wearing them on the road this week. That's going to be awesome, and it was, but so was the game. Buccaneers win 38-35, a come-from-behind victory in the final minute of the game. Again, another game-winning field goal at the death from Chase McLaughlin. Again. I mean, Nick, I'm sorry to... I hope this isn't copyright infringement, but cardiac bucks. They are the cardiac bucks.
I wish there was like a synonym for cardiac or like thrilling. Like let's do one right now. I do this often when I write and I repeat words too often. I look up a synonym for them. I wish there was one that starts with B. Candidates that we have: exciting, stirring, action-packed, rip-roaring.
Rip-roaring bucks.
Gripping, riveting, fascinating, dramatic, hair-raising, rousing, lively, animated, spirited, stimulating. It doesn't matter. These all describe the Buccaneers. I believe they became, the first team in NFL history to win record their first 4 victories in the final minute of a game in NFL ever.
Correct.
It's an unprecedented run. You think there's no way this is sustainable, right? But I think on Sunday they proved against the Seahawks team, which shout out to Katie, the Seahawks are for real. Okay,
Yep.
they're not going anywhere either. They're very for real. Defense needs to work on some things. They are also missing a handful of starters in that game.
We all need to work on some things, Nat. We're doing our best.
We're all a work in progress. You're looking at it right here. Hairline notwithstanding. And yeah, so this, like, the Seahawks are for real. This is a great challenge for the Buccaneers. You know, I got a buddy who's a diehard Bucs fan who was like, we're going to roll Seattle. I was like, no, they're pretty good. But the Buccaneers passed the test. They went in there and went toe-to-toe in one of the most entertaining displays of football I've seen in a long time. What a moment for Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. I think there was a combined 7 incompletions between the two quarterbacks. Let's see, mental math here. Let's move this out of the way. 6, 3, 4, 10 total incompletions between the two. That's like absurd. That's absurd. That's insane. Baker goes 29 of 33 for 379 and 2 touchdowns. Darnold goes 28 of 34 for 341, 4 touchdowns. And the only blemish on his resume for the game is ultimately the play that proved to be the difference for the Buccaneers, which is a deflected pass that is intercepted by Levante David and sets up the Bucs for the game-winning field goal. Before that point, it was a classic case of whoever has the ball last is going to win this one. It's like college football in the NFL. So go ahead, Sean.
when that pass was intercepted by Levante David, that was the first time in 5 drives that the Seahawks did not score a touchdown.
There were 7 straight drives in which each team ended their possession with a touchdown.
Yeah, it was. I mean, honestly, it was pure cinema just watching it. I couldn't stop looking away. And then when the Bucs got the ball back, go down the field, Baker Mayfield to Sterling Shepard, I'm like, there's too much time on the clock. The way this Seahawks offense has been moving all day long. And honestly, I didn't give the Bucs a shot. I know I cover the team, but like they are so banged up on offense, on defense. No Bucky Irving, no Jamel Dean, no Kalijah Kancey, no Greg. Like just it was insane that they were even in that game to begin with. And then, cardiac Bucks come through again. Just insane.
I didn't watch all of this game live, which is wild because this is the one I had circled on.
That pains me for you.
Me too, but the only reason I didn't is because the Blue Jays were up 1-0 on the Yankees. So I put on the baseball game, and then I tried to have Chargers here, and I'm going back and forth between everything. So I kept going back to the Seahawks game, and every single time it was like, what has just happened?
Yeah.
So I watched the full game afterwards, and man, it's probably for the best I wasn't watching that live because Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I also texted you guys. Ohio State, it's officially wide receiver U now.
Yeah. Let's put it to bed.
LSU can argue with the wall. I'm sorry. Ohio State is wide receiver U because you had both Jackson Smith and Jigba, and you had Emeka Egbuka just going off. Just anything you can do, I can do better. And ultimately, Emeka Egbuka had the better day. But like Jackson Smith and Jigba, still amazing. Amazing.
Those guys were teammates.
Yeah.
With also
So
Chris
wild.
Olave and Garrett Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. Like an absolute Oh, and by the way, a receiver who's better than all of them is playing at Ohio State right now. He wears number 4. His name's Jeremiah Smith. And Carnell Tate's pretty damn good too. And there's more in the hopper than just those two guys. Trust me on that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was a great showcase for Ohio State. Great recruiting weekend for them. You want to convince a receiver to go to Columbus, you just throw on that game. Say, those guys came from here. This is what you can do in the NFL if you come to Ohio State. But yeah, it was a fantastic game. I mean, there's nothing but good things to say about Darnold and Mayfield. And Emeka Egbuka stepping into what's essentially Emeka Egbuka. Was I not right? Was I not right? I was right the whole time.
No, you were wrong. You said he would be the number 2 receiver in Cleveland. That is not correct. He would be the number 1 receiver.
You mean in Tampa? No, in Tampa, you mean? Because I never said anything about him being in number 2.
Yeah, you did. At the very end of the video, you were like, he'd be a number 2 in Cleveland.
No. Look, he's the number 2 in Tampa because Mike Evans exists, and since Mike Evans isn't on the field, this guy could be a number 1 for most teams. He's doing better than even Terry McLaurin did in his rookie year.
Yeah.
By the way, another Ohio State.
Also Ohio State, yes.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. I feel vindicated on being on the Egbuka train. I'm happy the Buccaneers spent that first-round pick on him. It's a good pick for the short term and the long term. It also takes the pressure off of Chris Godwin, who is just getting his feet under him after coming back from his severe ankle injury that he suffered last year. It's kind of wiped away the lack of Jalen McMillan in this offense. Like they're just cruising because of this kid, who was the most polished receiver, I think, in the class coming out of Ohio State because of all the years that he spent with the Buckeyes, and he's freaking balling out of control. I don't want to end the segment on this, but I feel as though I have to because it's not often that we do this show, that it's a day pod, still kind of a new thing for us, but more importantly, it's not often that we get breaking news. But I have breaking news for you.
Right here, breaking news on the Gridiron Podcast.
Have you considered the Cincinnati Bengals quarterback situation and how bad it looks with Jake Browning behind that terrible offensive line and no running game to speak of, right?
It's come into consideration.
Have you considered that Zach Taylor was like evaluating all options this week after they've lost their 3rd straight and they look like they're headed nowhere but except to a very dark, sad, and lonely place?
I don't always trust Zach Taylor to do that, but maybe.
Yeah, okay. The Cincinnati Bengals have just completed a trade for Joe Flacco.
Flacco?
Yeah.
Whoa.
In this, the year of our Lord 2025.
Yeah.
Breaking news on the Gridiron Podcast. Joe Flacco is a Cincinnati Bengal. Wow.
That under things you love to see.
One team away from completing the AFC North tour. Yes, the Browns have traded.
I don't think, hey, that tour ain't happening. That tour ain't getting finished.
Don't speak so soon, Joe.
Hey, no. That tour ain't getting finished. She's not coming here to Pittsburgh.
Well, yeah, you do have a lot of youth at quarterback there. I wouldn't put it into consideration.
The Browns have traded Joe Flacco to the Cincinnati Bengals in exchange for a 5th-round pick. They traded a 6th-round pick with Joe Flacco. They get a 5th back from
Well,
Cincinnati.
hey, look at it this way. The Shedeur Sanders fans got their wish. He's now the backup. There you go. See? Everything works out. There you go. He's now the number 2. Just as they said he should be.
You're right. I guess one okay performance from Dylan Gabriel convinced the Browns that they don't need to hold on to Joe Flacco anymore. If there's ever a move that says, shut up, fan base, we're sticking with our plan and there's nothing you can do about it, it's the Browns trading Joe Flacco to a very desperate Cincinnati Bengals team. The first trade, I believe, since the Browns and Bengals, since they attempted to swing a deal for A.J. McCarron, but a paperwork filing mishap nixed that deal on the day of the deadline. I'll never forget that day. I'll never forget being on the radio in Cleveland from LA, being in the parking lot in the Culver offices of the NFL Network and trying to explain that, yes, in order to get a trade done, you must fax your paperwork in time. And the Browns did not do that, which in hindsight was probably a good move. But yes, Joe Flacco is now a Cincinnati Bengal. And frankly, guys, I don't know what your takes are on it, but mine is that it's not going to do a damn thing because they can't block and neither could the Browns.
Yeah, fair. At least I just love Joe Flacco, so at least like I'm glad to not watch Jake Browning anymore. But is it going to move the needle for me? No.
No.
But do I like this for Joe Flacco? Absolutely.
I like the fact that Joe Flacco's getting another chance. I feel like this is probably the last go around for him, honestly. Like, it's time for Joe Flacco to hang it up and has been for a couple of years.
How many times have we said that already?
Right. But at the same time, Jake Browning, world's greatest backup last year, not getting it done this year. I guess the Bengals, why not take a shot? They feel like they look at this division and they go, really? Are the Steelers really going to win this division? Just by default because the Ravens suck, the Browns suck, the Bengals, like, are we really, like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, good for taking a shot at it, I guess. This is why you don't tank. This is why you don't tank. Like, look at the Steelers. They're not tanking, and they are right now in a good position to win the division and host a playoff game.
Tanking's kind of worked for some teams. The Bengals kind of tanked and got Joe Burrow. So
how's that working? And they just traded for
Joe
Flacco.
They got
Were
to
you
a Super
about to
Bowl.
ask how's that working out for them with Joe Burrow?
Yeah, they got to a Super Bowl. They did get to a Super Bowl. You're right.
When was the last
Since
Super Bowl
then,
the Steelers got to,
since
Sean?
then,
Sean,
This is breaking my brain right now.
when was the last Super Bowl that the Steelers got
2011,
to?
2011.
Yeah. Been a while, huh?
It has been a while. Yes.
Yeah, didn't tank. Probably should.
Yeah, notable flop, Joe Burrow.
Yes. Well, it's worked so well for the Jags, the Browns, the Cardinals, the Patriots.
Notable flop, Joe Burrow. Hey, speaking of the Patriots, I think it did work out pretty well for them. Drake May is a dog.
Drake May ain't
Transition.
half bad.
He is a dog.
Yes, dog
It's like
rating.
X-rays.
Oh, he's definitely got that dog in him. He had that dog in him on Sunday night when the Patriots took down the Bills in Buffalo. Probably
Does this say more about the Bills, though, or the Patriots?
Good question, Sean.
I think it says both, and I think that's going to lead us into our next segment as well. But first, we give a shout out to our chat members because we got Godsend in here. Shout out to Godsend. He's actually sending a welcome to Papa Popper, who's also in the chat. Diehard
Welcome,
Gridiron
friends.
listener. We're going to show Gridiron diehard listener Papa Popper here saying Bengals hoping for a Flacco honeymoon period. It has happened before. It did in Cleveland, but they could block. They can block and they can run the football. Two things the Bengals can't do. And then Logan, another diehard listener of the podcast, Patriots fan, says, Drake May mentioned. Yeah, you're damn right Drake May's mentioned. He earned his mention on this show after how he performed on Sunday night. If you ever needed a great opportunity for a kid who needed a little bit of national exposure, you got one on Sunday night. Drake May, 22 of 30, 273, doesn't throw a touchdown pass, doesn't matter. Hits Stephon Diggs 10 times for 146. The revenge game is complete for Diggs as he goes into Buffalo, torches a defense that I think is going to be their Achilles heel all year. May rips a handful of just spectacular throws, puts himself firmly on the national radar, and pushes back all those haters who've been in my mentions for the last 2 weeks being like, why is Drake May in your top 15? What has he ever done? The Patriots stink. The Patriots are 3-2. They're a game behind the Bills, and Drake May just put together a signature performance that's going to make you all put some damn respect on his name.
You know what this also says a lot about, too, is not just the development of Drake May, but obviously that is coming along, but just look at what Mike Vrabel has been able to do in his short time in charge of the New England Patriots. We all, on this podcast, were like, Tennessee, don't get rid of Mike Vrabel. He is the reason you even have a puncher's chance. Like if you're going to rebuild with Mike
Yeah.
Vrabel. And for some
Rebuild
reason,
around Mike
yes,
Vrabel.
they didn't see that happening, and so he lands in the perfect situation for him. Goes back to New England, and look what he's already been able to do. I'm not saying that they're going to win the division and finish ahead of the Bills. They might make the playoffs as a wild card potentially, but they're going in the right direction, which is what you want to see with such a young team that quite literally doesn't have that much star power on it.
Yeah, but they did spend a lot of money in free agency because they had a lot of cap to spend.
Lot.
Like they spent because they had to, and that has propelled their turnaround. Their defense has been playing with aggression over the last few weeks. Honestly, Sean, I know you're not going to like to hear this, but they should have probably beat the Steelers.
Oh, they should have. No, they absolutely should have.
If they don't fumble on the goal line and just commit some ghastly mistakes at the worst possible time.
They fumbled 5 times in that game.
Yeah. I think that they should have won that game. And May has been dialed over the course of almost this entire season, save for week 1 against the Raiders, which also brings up another point. The parity in the NFL is undefeated because folks who watch the Patriots beat the Bills on Sunday night, they're like, this Patriots team, the same one that lost to the Raiders, week 1 never matters. It never tells us a damn thing about what the season's going to, how it's going to look, because nobody knows anything, and often those results don't hold over the course of a season, and the Raiders are in a dark place since then, and the Patriots continue to ascend. You are absolutely right, Sean. Mike Vrabel, his imprint is already showing on this team. They've adopted his identity defensively. They're scrappy offensively, and for some reason, Vrabel has shown an immense amount of confidence in Ramondre Stevenson, despite him fumbling all the time.
All the time.
But it paid off in the clutch moments against Buffalo on Sunday night. And you got to give a tip of the cap to the old ball coach for sticking with his guy in the face of adversity. What a fun, shocking upset. Look, I think we all like underdogs. If anybody has a heart, you like an underdog usually. That was a classic story of an underdog that used to be the king of the hill, rolling into the new king's house and saying, we're back, baby. We're not going anywhere. It's not going to be easy for you anymore.
Was that their biggest win since the Tom Brady era?
Yes, unquestionably.
Like, I can't think of one other thing that even came close. I felt very vindicated on my YouTube series. I predicted the Patriots to win that one, and my co-host looked at me like I had 2 heads, and I felt great.
Katie, where can we find that YouTube series?
Bet Canada? I think it's just at Bet Canada.
There you go. Yeah.
We don't talk betting, which is nice, but it's called Bet Canada. That's where you can find me.
Bet. No cap.
Canada.
Bills lose, Raisins lose, Chiefs lose. Which one are we most worried about?
It's a new thing. Bills, Raisins, and Chiefs. The Ravens, they're freaking bad, dude. That defense is atrocious.
Yeah, they're
oh
so
my
bad.
God. CJ Stroud hasn't had a walk in the park like that in about 2 years. 44 points. He threw 4 touchdown passes. He only had 4 incompletions. They got after him a little bit, but the offensive line looked way better against that just absolutely decimated defensive front for the Ravens. I mean, this is an average to below average offensive line that has not been able to figure out pass protection or run blocking, and Nick Chubb ripped off a touchdown run of 27 yards against them. Okay, like Nick Chubb at this stage in this economy ripped off a 27-yard touchdown run against that Ravens defense. They're in a bad place. They're 1-4, and without Lamar Jackson, I don't know where they turn. Now, he may only miss another week or so, but it is a monumental task to ask him to carry this team with a defense that is that bad, and with a version of Derrick Henry right now that cannot get out of the starting blocks. 15
I'm about
for 33.
to bench Derrick freaking Henry in fantasy.
And look, that's no knock on.
I've never been said like that before.
If there's one example in which a defense actually deserves a lot of credit for bottling up Derrick Henry, there's 2 this year with Baltimore. It's Cleveland in week 2 and Houston this week, right? But ultimately, Derrick Henry has proven over the course of his career to be better than that. And he's not anymore. And it feels like he's lost confidence. It feels like the Ravens are in a crisis of confidence right now. And I don't know how you get out of that without Lamar Jackson or without any semblance of the aggressive defense that you built your identity on for so long. These are not the Ravens that you knew, that your grandfather knew. Well, I mean, your grandfather didn't even know that they existed prior to 1996. That your father knew, that even college-aged us knew. Totally different team. Very worried about them.
It feels like something shifted with the fumble in week 1. Because he had such a monster game. I think he had like over 100 yards in the first half. And that was his first big fumble of the season, was later in that game. And didn't it end up costing them the game, basically?
Yep.
But he had such a huge game that it felt like that wasn't the biggest part of it. And then it feels like wow, what a downhill spiral since then. By the way, while we're here, I cordially invite both of you and any listeners that want to join to the Fire John Harbaugh prayer circle. Some of us have been
Whoa.
here for a long time.
Whoa.
The
That
Do I
is
think it's
NFL's
going to
not gonna
happen?
longest
happen.
tenured head
No.
Absolutely not.
No,
but
it's not going to happen.
join me. Some of us are doing what we can to do our part.
The Ravens, by the way, in a move of desperation, I believe, are pursuing Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who the Texans got rid of because they were like, yeah, we don't need your bullshit. We're fine. They get rid of him, they win their first game without him. Not to say that those are two directly connected things, but
But they have.
yeah. So, yeah.
All right, let's move on to our next segment, guys, because we're going to get a little fun and creative this week. We're each going to give a mild to hot take, depending on, how spicy you like your food. We're going to pick our MVP to date, and then an early season award winner. It can be Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Player of the Year, whatever. Comeback Player of the Year. Go nuts, kids. Katie, start us off with, what was the first one? Oh, your mild to hot take.
Mild to hot take, I think the Indianapolis Colts are going to go on a magical playoff run this year.
That is mild. I would say that that is, what's the Tostitos brand, mild salsa?
Mild?
Just mild salsa.
A little
Okay,
bit more
how can I
than
bump this
tomato.
up? What if I say they come out of the AFC? Do I think they're going to? Not necessarily.
That is hot. Now that is
that's
hot.
That's ghost. Well, no, that's habanero hot. That's
Yeah.
habanero
Yeah.
hot.
That's
No,
going to make you sweat.
I think they go far enough in the playoffs that it really, really surprises people. There's something magical about them this season. And it's so fun because they just had no expectations. Like, I remember doing a video the day that Daniel Jones was announced as the starter, being like, are you kidding me right now? But, like, when I look at them, their one loss to the Rams, like, they so easily could have won that game. That was the Adonai Mitchell one where with the touchback and then he had the holding call. But like you're that close with the Rams who are Super Bowl contender. Like I know 5 games is a small sample size and yes, you won over the Dolphins and the Raiders, but A, this is a franchise that could use a feel-good story, but B, like you've got a top 5 offense, you've got a top 5 defense, they've got a seemingly very good quarterback, which who knew? They've got the coach. Like to me it gives a little bit of 2024 Eagles.
When we were doing our division previews, I remember saying like they have a good roster. The question is like Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, what are really either of them going to give us? And Daniel Jones said, "All right, I got you. Bet Canada." Indiana Jones, man, looking good.
No cap.
Looking so good. And this is one that this is a really big one for me personally. My family is having some health issues right now. My dad's a big Colts fan, and it feels like this is a really cool. Like I grew up a Colts fan for like half my life, and then eventually became a Seahawks fan just because of the proximity. And I love Seattle, but this is one where if there was a time that feels really cool for them to go on a magical, unexpected run, I'm really cheering for it. So yeah, I'm all in on the Colts.
Okay. I want to push back on that real quick because I believe in the storybook, and especially after Jim Irsay's passing, it's like, oh, that would be great for the franchise, right? But they also haven't played anybody.
They haven't, but then I also look at the AFC that like that's where this kind of made my final decision for what my take was.
Yes.
Because a lot of teams around the AFC just aren't as good. So like even if they were playing this well within the last few years, the AFC was just so strong around them, which like you said, now there's just a lot more parity in the NFL, which it gives an opportunity for teams like this to really go in and take advantage of that.
I believe because the Browns beat the Packers, we are really close to completing the parity circle already, which might be a record. I'm very much looking forward to that being completed. But let's run down the Colts schedule real quick. They beat the Dolphins, destroy them in week 1. They barely beat the Broncos, kind of a gift because they missed their game-winning field goal before they got a second chance to do it.
Broncos are good though.
I know, but I'm saying it was kind of a gift win in a number of different ways. Then Tennessee, they destroy. Tennessee stinks. In the words of Cam Ward, we ass. And they are ass, even though they won this week. They lose to the Rams in a game that they should have won, which I think a better team probably does win that game and doesn't commit those mistakes, but it was only week 4. And then they dominate the Raiders, who stink as well. And guess what? They're not going to get many more tests. Like, they play the Cardinals this week. Don't think that's going to be much of a test. Their first test is going to be the Chargers. They play Tennessee again. Going to be a win. They play Pittsburgh, which is going to be a challenging game. And they play Atlanta, which should be a challenging game. So, like, by week 11, we're getting close to Thanksgiving. We'll know more about the Colts. So that is a hot take that they'll win the AFC. mild take, just because of where they stand in the standings right now, that they'll come out of the AFC East now, or the AFC South, excuse me. Which, by the way, better division than the AFC North. And what world?
Oh,
are we
without a
living in?
doubt.
What
So
world?
Without a doubt.
wild.
Without a
What world
doubt.
are we living in? Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the chat real quick because the chat is hot today. The block is hot. The
I love
chat is
that.
hot. We got a multitude of people in here. We got a new one I've never seen before, Skinny Clee, who said, "What do we think the Colts are for real?" So thank you to everybody who hopped in the chat. I also found that 2 of our listeners, our viewers right now, are in the same fantasy league, and they're talking about it in the chat. Look at Godson saying, "Gray Fox, you smoked me in fantasy last week. GG's." Look at you guys getting all together. I like that. I like that a whole lot. But I also am going to transition to one thing here because you said something along the lines, I don't even remember what the hell you said that made me think of this, but we're just going to go to my pick now because my hot take is that the Bills are kind of fraudulent.
I love that.
And I think it kind of is connected to what you said about there aren't that many good teams in the AFC right now. The Bills have also not really played anybody. If you look at their schedule to this point in the season, yeah, they were undefeated going into week 5. They played Baltimore and had that thrilling comeback, which was great and everything. But what are the Ravens? We don't know now. They beat the Jets, they beat the Dolphins, and they beat the Saints, who are like 3 of the worst teams in the NFL, probably. They lost to the Patriots. They play the Falcons, and they go into a bye. They come out of the bye, they play Carolina. Their first real test is Kansas City in week 9, and that's at home. Like, the Bills could win 13 games, 14 games, look like world beaters, and I'm still going to sit back and be like, I don't trust you. And it's not because of what they've done over the last few years. It's the fact that they had...
Or just relying on Josh Allen to save them every once in a while.
Yes. Like, James Cook is having a hell of a year. They did not give him the ball enough on Sunday night. And I think that directly affected them in their loss. But their defense lacks juice. And that's just supposed to be Sean McDermott's MO. The changes that they've had to endure in personnel in the back end, in the secondary, have not paid off. I love Cole Bishop, but he has not done enough to replace that fantastic safety tandem that they used to have in Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. And Tre'Davious White is a starting corner for them, and he's not Tre'Davious White of 4 years ago. He's just not. I think that they are going to run into instances in which they're going to ask Josh Allen to carry them way too much. And they've done that a lot.
But that's what they've been doing for years.
Yes, but I think it's more pronounced now. And really, it's going to become James Cook, Josh Allen, Keon Coleman, and they're good tight ends. And it's just going to be like, can we do enough with our offense to win these games? There's just something about them that has a bit of stink where if you asked me to put my life on the line, I would not gravitate toward the Buffalo Bills to save me from extinction.
You can run on them too. Like, they have more than one vulnerability in that defense.
Yeah.
So if Josh Allen isn't getting it done on the other side, like even when we look at the Panthers, like, do I think they're going to lose to the Panthers? No. But if you have a vulnerable run defense, didn't Rico Dowdle just put up 234 yards? Like, the NFL's weird, man. We've talked about this so many times where at the beginning of the year we do the schedule game where that's a win, that's a win. Like, man, penalties, turnovers, weird shit happens in the NFL, and then it can go the other way.
Yeah. I will say the one thing
I love this take about the Bills.
The one thing going for them, though, is we just said it multiple times. There is so much parity in the NFL. So maybe Josh Allen saving them in the clutch, maybe that is enough to get them over the hump this year. We'll find out. I'm going to do my take. This is probably on the milder side. You know, I don't handle heat that well. But the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to win their first playoff game since 2016 this year.
And that was the most predictable take of all.
That was my sigh. Sean, I like that take.
Thank you.
How can you be so gullible? Let's run through the Steelers schedule real quick. Why don't we?
No, let's not. Let's just not.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I think the Steelers haven't played a division game yet. Yeah, they haven't. They beat the Jets. They lost to the Seahawks. Seahawks look like the superior team in that game. They beat the Patriots in a game they should have lost. Their best game was against the Vikings in Dublin, which I give them all the credit in the world for winning that game. But, oh, by the way, Carson Wentz was playing quarterback for Minnesota in that one. They get an early bye. They come out, they play the Browns, Bengals, Packers, Colts, and Chargers.
That's Joe Flacco-led Bengals.
Yeah,
that's
watch out.
We're talking about the Cooper Rush-led Raisins, the Dylan Gabriel Browns, and the Joe Flacco Bengals. Like,
until Lamar comes back. Like, I'm sorry, I like it at 3-1.
Yes,
you think, they're in a good spot.
Because he statistically always has a great record against the Steelers and Mike Tomlin.
The AFC North is going to be the most difficult division to predict how it's going to pan out because they're all not great. Correct. And the Steelers are the best looking team right now. And I think by the time we hit Thanksgiving, we may not be able to say the same thing about them. Or I'm wrong and they've proven themselves and they have a commanding lead in the division. But if they go 2-3, I think they beat the Browns and the Bengals and they lose to the Packers, Colts, and Chargers. Then they'll be 5-4 as we hit mid-November. Oh, and you play the Bengals again and you play Chicago. Kind of a soft schedule, but the back end is where it gets really tough. Buffalo, Baltimore, Miami, Detroit, Cleveland, Baltimore again. That's where we're going to learn. They're going to be in the running the whole time. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm pushing back against this. We have more contributions in the chat here. We have Papa Popper saying, I want to join the Gridiron Podcast Fantasy League next season. Thank you, but that doesn't exist. And if I have any say about it, it's not going to exist because I hate fantasy football.
Yes.
We also
I love
Rod
fantasy
said,
football.
diehard Broncos fan saying Bo Nix is winning a playoff game before Justin Herbert. Count it.
I don't hate that take.
I don't hate that because they don't have both their starting tackles right now, and they also
They can't
lost
protect Justin Herbert.
And they don't have a running back at the moment.
They lost Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton. Harris for the season, Hampton going to IR with an ankle injury. The parody is just parodying right now. Like it's at the top of the top. Like Gray Fox says, Steelers look ass. We are not good. And they're leading the division. I don't know what to make of this. So we're gonna move the segment forward to the next
division
spot.
is ass. That whole and think about talking about the divisions heading into the season. That looked like one of the strongest.
Right,
ones.
that looked like such a strong division. This might be the worst division in football at the moment.
When you lose
because
your
of the
quarterbacks.
situations every team finds themselves in.
When you lose your quarterbacks.
All right, we're 5 weeks in, guys. Who's your MVP?
Katie.
We all have the same answer. We all have the same answer.
Say
On the
it
count
with
of three.
me.
One,
One,
two,
two,
three.
three. Joe
Baker
Flacco.
Baker Mayfield.
Katie just had to ruin a good thing. It's Baker Mayfield.
That's my MO, friend. That's what I do. You should see me in any social setting.
She's the wild card. Woo! I cut the brake lines. Wild card. Woo!
She's the person standing on top of the limo going, woo, as it's going down the Vegas Strip.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm in Vegas. Woo!
Nick,
All right,
we've met in Vegas. That's the only place we've met in person,
Yeah,
and
and
I
you
was
were-
exactly like that.
You were surprisingly tame.
My MVP, first of all, I know this isn't the point of this award because no one would ever accept this argument, but in my heart, my real MVP is Joe Burrow because you see how ass that team is without him.
I like this
So-
take.
I like that concept of as soon as that one piece is removed and all of a sudden the team is 4,000 times worse. Obviously, he won't win it, but in my heart, Joe Burrow is the most valuable player this season because we see how shit they are without him.
Yeah, if only it was not an award based on achievement and actually stuck to its name, which is most valuable
Exactly.
player. Yes,
I
you're
think
correct.
there's an argument to be made that Baker Mayfield is just as valuable, if not more so, than Joe Burrow to the Buccaneers, just because
agree.
all of these fourth quarter comebacks, not even fourth quarter, these last minute of the game comebacks, Baker Mayfield's the one doing that stuff. The one knock
Yeah.
we have against him is in that Eagles game. It was his mistake, his interception throwing into double coverage that cost them, the Bucs ultimately a shot at winning that game at the end. But Baker Mayfield, man, first quarterback in NFL history in this game against the Seahawks to throw for over 375 yards and less than 5 incompletions.
Yeah.
It's Baker frickin' Mayfield,
He's
man.
dialed, dog. He's freaking
A
dialed.
My
game-winning drive is
gosh.
starting to feel automatic with him.
Yes.
Into the level of when you watch Patrick Mahomes with a game-winning drive and then Josh Allen, I would put Baker Mayfield right up there.
Yeah.
Where he has the ball and it doesn't really matter how much time is left. He's going to sling it and he's going to get it done. It's wild watching this happen.
I think so when I was growing up in Pittsburgh, that 08 championship, Super Bowl 43, which was in Tampa, Big Ben led 6 game-winning drives in the final 2 minutes of that season, 2 minutes of a game in that season. And everyone's like, oh, the 2-minute drill, Big Ben in the 2-minute drill. Baker Mayfield has done almost that feat in the first 5 weeks of the season. It is insane what he and
It's
the
so
Buccaneers are
fun.
doing. And I hope we don't find out, but I guess we'll find out how valuable he is, say, if he goes down for a game or two and Teddy Bridgewater has to come in. Then what happens?
Yeah. You know what's crazy is he's thrown for a ton of yards, and he's obviously the linchpin of this offense and of this team. He is the engine that makes it go. What strikes me the most when I watch his games is not that he's ripping these beautiful passes to Emeka Ibuka and Sterling Shepard and whoever else it might be. It's the fact that when it's 3rd and long, he's impossible to bring down. He
Yeah.
runs for first downs in key spots so often. And he has no regard for his own safety. He is only trying to clear the line to gain, and I
No
love it
regard for
so
human
much.
life anywhere around him.
He's shit talking fans in the tunnel before games.
And
He's
then after the
backing it
game,
up on the field. He's talking trash in press conferences about Steve Wilkes being the one who cut him, and I don't think that's necessarily how it works, but I get it. It's the most enjoyable thing to watch, and yet I wonder. This is also my pick, but I wonder this flawed award that is very quarterback centric. Now my camera's freaking backing out and shit.
it was for
if
dramatic effect.
if this is going to be one of those instances in which the team with the best record and their quarterback just ends up being like the MVP. Yeah. You want to super zoom on me real quick? Sure. This is why you watch on YouTube, so you can see this.
Baker
zoom in a bit
Mayfield for
more, Nick?
MVP.
Baker Mayfield is going to win most valuable player, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I agree with you, but I'm very scared.
It is funny, and I posed this tweet, or I posted it online. Just, at one point the Panthers had both Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield, and they're like, "Nah, we're good. Let's go get Bryce Young, and trade up for him as well." Which, again, looking at how they performed in Carolina, absolutely they were right to move on from them. But it is funny that they have now found. We're seeing this a lot more, right? We're seeing Baker Mayfield have a comeback, Sam Darnold, now Daniel Jones apparently, Geno Smith has made a career out of himself. Like, it is fun to see all these, more veteran guys find themselves in this league finally. Almost like, when you spend a couple of years playing in the NFL, you kind of get better at it. But yeah,
Gee, what a concept.
Right. I love what Baker's doing. As a Steelers fan, hating him for like 4 years of my life, can't help but root for the guy now. He's awesome.
Sean, I love this for you that you get to cover this team right now.
I know. I thought I was
Truly,
lucky that I was going to get to cover Tom Brady. Screw that. I get to cover Baker frickin' Mayfield.
All right there, champ.
Famous last words.
Let's cool the Jets. Let's slow it down before you lock up the brakes and it turns.
No, speed it up. I like
All
that.
right. So, safe to say Baker Mayfield is our MVP pick 5 weeks into the season.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty
It is for
obvious.
me. Who were some honorable mentions? Because we all had the same one.
Well,
Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, like
Daniel
this
Jones.
is the world.
Honestly, Dak Prescott too.
Yeah, but they're not going to have enough wins at the end. But like,
I
this
don't
is
think
the
so
world we live
either,
in.
but it's not his wins, it's how he's doing it. Like when you don't have CD and then you don't have 4 starting offensive linemen, like he's really impressed me this season.
Well, I mean, you say the same thing about Baker Mayfield. Until they got Tristan Wirfs back week 4 against the Eagles, they had 2 starting offensive linemen left, and they were playing out of position. They swapped Ben Bredesen and Graham Barton because, like, oh, Ben's a good center and Graham Barton's a hell of a left tackle, so go for it.
Yep. And that's what you got to do in the NFL these days. And they keep winning despite those challenges. That takes me into the next part of this segment, though, Katie, because you popped up a name there that I agree with. Who is your early season awards favorite outside of MVP? I'm going to go with Offensive Player of the Year because, like Katie said, or maybe it was Sean, they're not going to have enough wins to justify an MVP choice, which is why that award is flawed. But Dak Prescott is playing high-level football and deserves, if he continues this, Offensive Player of the Year. I think that could be what the award is actually made for instead of team success. He is playing quarterback at an elite level right now. He made it into my tier 1 a couple of weeks ago. He's going to stay there as long as he continues to play football like this, and especially, yes, without CeeDee Lamb out there. George Pickens has been a great find. I know this might pain Sean a little bit, but he's been a great find for them. And
only a couple of crash outs,
Yeah, which he is going to do that, but he's found a great role. Yeah. Don't we all have a couple of crash outs along the way? He's found a great role with that offense. Javonte Williams is running well too, but Dak Prescott is the reason that the Cowboys are even competitive. Mm-hmm. And it just takes a review of just him at quarterback. Don't look at the score, don't look at that sort of thing. He's throwing the ball with incredible precision. He's taking shots. He's making acrobatic, unbelievable plays like that pass down the sideline to Jalen Tolbert that set up a field goal in that crazy game against the Packers that unfortunately ended in a tie. He's playing elite football. I think he should be in the running. He's my choice for Offensive Player of the Year, only because the Cowboys, again, are not going to win enough games for him to get serious MVP consideration.
Katie?
I like it. Which one are we doing right now?
Your early season award winner.
Oh, mine is Emeka Egbuka. This guy's a superstar. He's like the biggest story of the NFL season to me this year, maybe outside of the Colts. And I feel like when he was drafted, like I was kind of scratching my head going like, okay, I wonder if he's sitting there when he's drafted thinking, I'm going to a place that has 1,000 receivers. Like you have Mike Evans, you just re-signed Chris Godwin to a 3-year contract. The year before they drafted Jalen McMillan, who finished out last season with 7 touchdowns in his last 5 games. But man, things change so quickly in the NFL, and he's used this opportunity. Like he's so fun to watch. I will turn on a Bucks game just to watch him and Baker.
It
He's worth the
started.
price of admission alone.
It started so early in training camp by them saying this kid's for real. Like he is what we thought we were getting when we drafted him in the first round. And a lot of Bucks fans down here in Tampa, they were also scratching their head and kind of a little frustrated with general manager Jason Light because they wanted defense. Right,
Yeah.
their biggest flaw last year was the defensive secondary. They wanted a cornerback. They wanted somebody to bring in. Well, they get their wish because they end up getting Jacob Parrish and Benjamin Morrison, both of them banged up at times, but they look to be pretty solid picks as well later in the draft. But you take Emeka Ibuka, and I mean, I didn't have a problem with it because right now you only have Mike Evans under contract for one more year this year, and Chris Godwin's coming back off a major injury. They're both sooner rather than later not going to be in Tampa anymore, either from retirement or just they can't go anymore. So drafting the future, Emeka Ibuka 1A, Jalen McMillan 2, 1B, something like that. He's injured now, of course, with the neck injury. But at the same time, okay, fine, you're building to the future, but also you can't beat the Bucks if you can't outscore them. Defense be damned. That's what I was thinking. Kind of worked in that way on Sunday, but at the same time, yeah, Emeka Ibuka has just turned out to be like the steal of the draft at this point. It's amazing.
You were saying future, and I just couldn't help but think of that SpongeBob scene where Squidward's just on the ground going future, future. But you're right; it was a short-term and a long-term pick, and
You
it's
do a
paid
very
off.
good Squidward.
Yeah, you do.
Oh God, that's concerning.
You do have Squidward energy, Nick.
I got the nose for it. I do have Squidward energy.
You
except
play
I
the
can't
clarinet?
clarinet. No, I cannot play the clarinet. Did play saxophone back in the day. All right, I like all those picks. I like how you're all on board. Except Sean, who's
yeah.
your early season award winner? Because this is a terrible choice.
I wrote it in there just to rage bait you, and
Good.
clearly I got
Damn it,
you.
I took the bait. Damn it.
You
It
did. You did. I wrote down in the docket that TJ Watt was going to be Defensive Player of the Year. I don't think so. He's still having a good year.
You're a jackass.
Oh, I didn't
Right.
see that. That
But
would
at
have
the
rage
same
baited
time-
me too.
Hey, how about Puka Nacua, Offensive Player of the Year?
Hell yeah.
Leads receivers
Okay,
in
I
yards
like
right
that.
now. He is absolutely the wide receiver one in LA. I mean, he is just electric to watch. I didn't know exactly how that was going to work out, down that the focus was pretty much solely on him. I know they have Devontae Adams at the same time, but Puka Nacua, man, he is fun to watch. Offensive Player of the Year for him. Why not?
You could make the Emeka Ibuka
Puka
song.
Nacua, Emeka Ibuka,
Nakua.
Tetaroa, McMillan, come on. I lost it.
Keep on scoring. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now I guess we still got to work on
Bucky
that. That's not our strength.
Irving runs the ball with, I don't know.
With
We'll
passion.
workshop
Irving.
We're gonna stop that right here.
Stop it.
Before
All right,
lose our
we were
viewers.
going to do our picks for Week 6 of the NFL, but I don't know
Yeah.
if we have time
Wait,
for
ain't
that.
nobody got time for that.
Yeah,
I'll
we
just
don't have
handle it
time.
later.
Yeah. Nick will just actually have to do his work later.
That's me.
rather
That's
than
me
have
using the
us
show to
do it
multitask.
for
That's all
him.
it is. Yeah. I'm
We're
just
going to switch
multitasking.
gears now to talk about Formula One. 53 minutes into this sucker. So, guys, Nick, isn't there like normally like a a sound effect? Don't you know?
Live?
Yeah, why not? I
What
feel
do you
like
think this
should.
is?
You should
ESPN?
Skirt. You should skirt. All right, we're switching gears, talking Formula One. We were in Singapore this last weekend for the Singapore Grand Prix. We've not done this podcast in a couple of weeks. We've missed a few races, just scheduling difficulties at this point,
My fault.
But-
My playoff baseball got in the way. My
it's,
fault.
It's all of our faults. But we're back. Let's talk about the Singapore Grand Prix. I believe we only have 6 races left after this one. Your winner, George Russell, wins from pole, followed by Max Verstappen, who is now finished on the podium 3 straight races, I believe, winning 2 of them. Objects in the rearview mirror may be closer than they appear. Max making a comeback for the driver's title for his 5th in a row, asterisk. And then you had Lando Norris from McLaren rounding out the podium, and Oscar Piastri, the current championship leader, finishing 4th. Guys, this was a boring race. Nothing noteworthy happened at all. It was pretty much just cut and dry from the start. So I feel like we can move on to next week's predictions.
Yeah, sure, McLaren fan. Just hide. Hide from the obvious problem that's existing within your team. Getting a real Nico
Oh my
Rosberg,
gosh.
Lewis Hamilton vibe out of McLaren right now.
So this was a snoozer of a race. From lap 2 to, what is it, lap 62? I think there's 62
there were some
laps.
interesting moments.
And some interesting radio messages.
slow
It was
pit stops.
it was a pretty boring race, but on lap 1, turn 1 or 2, whatever it was, Lando Norris from P5 passes his teammate and championship leader Oscar Piastri for P3. And that was pretty much the order that we ended in, basically.
How did he pass him, Sean? I think he was a little rude.
They were banging wheels a little bit. I think
one driver,
like
one driver was banging wheels, and that driver was Lando Norris.
And it was Lando Norris. You know what? I know you guys are going to disagree with me because you're going to call me a Lando fan and a Lando homer, but he saw a gap. He went for it. The steward said it was clean. He didn't force Oscar into the wall. He didn't force him off the track. Not that you really could in Singapore. Did they bang wheels? Absolutely. Lando had a little front wing damage. Was it a little, ooh, that's not very nice to do to your teammate? Absolutely. But season's winding down and they're in a championship fight. Oscar has had some tense passes on Lando before as well. I think this was Lando going for a gap. He got the move done safely. He did not ruin Oscar's race nor his own. I thought it was okay. And then the problem that I had was, look, we've been saying all season long, oh, hey man, Oscar's as cool as a cucumber. He doesn't let anything bother him.
Not
Dude turned the
anymore.
radio off on his boss at the end of the race. Oscar, we're world champions. Click. Just turned the radio off on Zach Brown. Ain't got time for your bullshit.
No, but also, Sean Robert, your bias is showing, because why did Lando bang wheels with Oscar Piastri on lap 1? Because he went for that gap and ended up bumping into Max Verstappen, which threw him off of course, I guess, out of control a little bit, which then sent him into Oscar Piastri. Oscar described it, or I think they described it on the broadcast as him barging through and forcing Oscar off. And there was no penalty or any resulting consequence from the FIA because it was created by Lando first hitting the back of Max, right? And you're like, that happens. That's racing. Racing incident.
Look,
Thank you, Katie.
In a sport where I feel like sometimes the stewards do get a little too picky on what is a racing incident and what isn't, that was racing, man. That was all right. They banged wheels a little bit. No one got sent off. No one's race got ruined because of it. I think that was racing, man. That was good racing. Now, I understand why Oscar is frustrated, especially coming off a couple of weeks ago when Lando has a bad pit stop, not his own fault, and they say, Oscar, could you let Lando go by? Which at the time I thought was right, but now when you look back at it, you go, ooh.
Oh,
yeah. So now
Interesting.
in Oscar's mind, you're thinking you maybe swap places back in, was that the Netherlands? Where was that?
Monza.
You maybe switch places back in Monza, and now you're not going to do anything when, the guy that you say isn't, the star child, the favorite son, bangs wheels with me, almost causes a crash. You're not going to do anything now. If we're looking at this scenario just in a vacuum by itself, I think there was nothing wrong with it. It was good, clean racing, hard racing, and I understand why Oscar's a little frustrated because it's not the most teamly thing to do. But when we're looking at the overarching storyline of this season, Oscar can start to say, I'm sensing some favoritism here, guys, and I don't blame him for it.
What gave it away?
Gee.
Except for every single move they've made this season.
Oh, even coming down to Lando, letting them determine who gets to pit first. Lando, do you want to let Oscar pit first, or do you want to pit first? Yeah, no, I want to pit first, and he pits first, and he gets a quick stop and maintains his lead in this race. It's been Lando biased for weeks, if not months. Zach Brown can't hide it. It's his favorite son. And Oscar has every right in the world to be pissed off right now. I'd unplug my radio, too. I wouldn't want to hear Zach talking in my ear about being Constructors' Championship when you just put the screws to him again.
I don't think McLaren put the screws to him today. Again, if we're looking at this scenario,
it's the combination.
I get it, but on Sunday, that one scenario, Lando just made the better move. In this one instance, yes, Lando made the better move, and I had no problem with it. But you're right. When we just look at the pattern here,
the goalposts are moving, Sean.
Correct.
Are we playing under team orders or are we not? Are you free to race or are we not?
They've
because
always been
clearly,
free to race. They've said that
they're
from
only
day
free
one.
to race when it benefits Lando.
There
That's
it
what
is.
happened in Monza. If we were free to race and our bad pit stop shouldn't have an impact on Oscar's performance, they wouldn't have asked him to change positions. They would have just been free to race the whole time.
They
The
were free to
goalposts
racing
keep
candidates
moving.
too, and Lando screwed that up.
The goalposts keep moving. And I really, I want Max to come back and win this because I think that would just be cinema. But I really hope Oscar beats Lando for this title now. Like, I'm full team Oscar now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very anti-Lando.
This is the precedent that McLaren has set this entire season by meddling in their drivers' races. Once you do that once in Monza, and then it's funny that Oscar has a slow stop in this one. Why aren't you guys on the radio asking to swap? Like, as almost as if Oscar is the championship leader and not Lando Norris. And I think a lot of people forget when you look at the races are starting to dwindle down. There's still 3 sprint races. Yep. And I love the fact that Max is looking in their mirror because McLaren cannot and will not stop losing to themselves.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Max is doing so well right now that he's going to start to force their hand to pick a driver.
Yep.
They are. If this keeps up, by the end of this season, we're going to have 3 drivers fighting for a championship, and McLaren can only prioritize one, or else they risk losing both.
Yes. Which would be so beautiful.
So great. So great. God, sign me up. It's like a 5-course meal with the fattest steak you've ever seen. Let me dig in. Let's do it.
And this is the problem with choosing 2 drivers, 2 number 1 drivers. Red Bull has said this all along. We don't have 2 number 1 drivers. We will prioritize one. Mercedes did not prioritize one driver. They didn't have 2 number 1s ever since 2016 because what happened? Just the chaos that ensued with Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton. They're like, let's not do that again. Let's put Valtteri Bottas in there and make it a clear 1-2. Max Verstappen, once Daniel Ricciardo's out, it's a clear 1-2. And it worked. It worked. McLaren's always kind of like, always McLaren's like, we've got a 1. We've got 2 number 1 drivers, whether you go back to when it was Lewis Hamilton and Fernando Alonso or Lewis Hamilton and Jenson Button, or you can go back into the 80s when they had Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost. Like, McLaren's always like, we can have 2 number 1 drivers because we can handle this. But
no, you can't.
But you can handle it when you have the best car, and one of your drivers is going to win a championship. That might not be the case now.
I love it. I love it. I just love how they keep trying to bullshit everyone and say, we have 2 number 1 drivers. When clearly Lando is the number 1 boy, he's the favorite, but then Oscar is driving better. Oh, who could have ever predicted this mess that they got in except Nick and I heading into the season and the entire season? Other than that, who could have ever predicted?
Doesn't it feel so good to be right?
It feels so good. And man, Oscar was so funny on the radio. Like we're really starting to see a lot of their mess. Because like you said, I think it was you, Sean, that we didn't see a lot of emotion from him for most of the season. We're starting to see
they're
their
giving
mess
a reason to show emotion
leak
now,
onto the broadcast when Oscar goes, that wasn't very team-like. I stood up off my couch being like, there it is, because you know that they talked about that meeting. Yep. And you know that it's all about the team and team first. And then Oscar goes, that's not fair. And they're going back to him going like, Oscar, we will talk about this after. Control the controllables. We will talk about this. And Oscar's basically like, we're talking about it now.
Nah, we're talking about it now, bitches. I would have killed to have been a fly on the wall in that debrief after. Wouldn't we have all been? Like, just... to be
one door was fuck smashed.
Wouldn't it have also been better? I mean, if they had both finished on the podium and we've had to get in that very awkward cool down room, like, if only.
It also underscores how much better the drivers' championship is than the constructors. Like, they're not even close,
right?
No, yeah. This was one of the fastest Constructors' Championship in F1 history. McLaren, by the way, they just wrapped up their 2nd straight Constructors' Championship. But we're talking about more drama with them because McLaren is gonna McLaren.
And we love drama on the Gridiron Podcast.
Oh, I love when they're a verb as well. Like when the Chargers Charger. I love that the McLarens are McLaren.
Maybe they like that. Like at this point, do they like McLarening though? Like do they just... Hey, all press is good press. Like, they can't get out of their own way.
They Jerry Jones?
This point, at this point, I'm wondering, are you doing this on purpose?
Zach Brown does kind of have younger Jerry Jones energy.
Oh, God, he is a salesman. He does get brand deals done. Oh,
why have I never... Ew, I just got, like, bad chills down my spine. How have we never put this together?
I've been thinking about this ever since Sunday. I'm like, why can they just not... They're doing this on purpose.
Sean, you chose your chosen McLaren or F1 team is the Dallas Cowboys of F1.
Oh God, I mean,
The Toronto Maple Leafs of F1.
you're not wrong. They're both very successful teams that used to be successful way back then. Oh boy, oh boy.
Uh-oh. Max Verstappen, come on down. Come blow it up for all of them.
Ba-ba-ba-ba.
Max Verstappen.
Who'd have ever guessed that you'd have me on this podcast cheering for Max Verstappen in a drivers' championship? What
My
year
long
is this right now?
my long con has finally paid off. And that right there, kids, is proof that persistence does pay off.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Before we get out of here, though, we do have story time. Nick wearing his Haas F1 team shirt. Nick, you said you'd tell us how you got that shirt. Tell us how you got that shirt. By the way, no race this weekend. We're going to Austin a week from now. So
yes, I can't wait for all the cowboy motifs and all the American bullshit on the cars because they freaking hate it when they go to Austin. Good race, good track.
Great race.
Think about how outsiders of America feel.
Promotion pisses me off. It's like when things happen in Cleveland.
As an American?
Yes, I do.
Think about us.
Yeah, you're right. That's true. It's like when things come to Cleveland and they just make it all about rock. It's like Cleveland has the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because a DJ used the term rock and roll on Cleveland radio. That's it. Like, the rock scene here is not strong, never has been. Stop putting guitar picks and guitar necks in all of our logos for our events. We're more than rock. I'm done. Okay, so story time. So the Cleveland Guardians.
You hit a nerve there.
Yeah, a little bit, you think? The Cleveland Guardians found themselves in a playoff race in the final 2 weeks of the season, and they completed the improbable, which was they erased the largest deficit to win a division, coming back from 15 and a half games back to unseat the Detroit Tigers on the final day of the regular season. Now, with all of this in mind and me having the ballpark pass, in which I've already paid for a ticket to every game, standing room ticket, I said, screw it, I'm going to go to as many of these games as I can. So I went to 4 games in the final week of the regular season.
Hell yeah.
I went to Tuesday's game, great win over Tarek Skubal and the Tigers. I went to Thursday's game, not a great performance. Friday, not a great performance. Saturday, thrilling walk-off because a guy got hit by a pitch. Your Cleveland Guardians, in a nutshell. One of those games, I believe it was Friday, I went to meet up with my friends, but they were still doing a little pre-gaming at a nearby bar, and I just walked into the stadium by myself. Not far from the first time I've gone to a game by myself in this capacity. Grabbed a beer, stood out by the standing section. It was filling up. Everybody's fired up for this weekend series with Texas. And I'm standing there, and some guy and his, middle-aged guy in front of me and his girlfriend, this guy keeps kind of like looking at me. So finally he looks at me and I hold the stare for a second. He goes, "Hey, what's your last name?" And I was like, shook. And he goes, no. "Oh, wait, is your dad's name Greg?" And I go, "Yeah." And he's like, "Oh, I used to do business with him for like a decade." And I was like, "Oh, what shop are you from?" He's like, "I'm from Haas CNC Machining." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I know of Haas." He's like, "Yeah, me and your dad, we did business for years because my dad worked in industrial knives with like knife sharpening and stuff like that, and blade maintenance, all sorts of things like that. He worked a lot with CNC machine shops and pelletizer blades, all these other different things." So I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I remember being in the shop with him back in the day. I know all this stuff." Yeah. And we start talking about him a little bit, and then he, at the end of the conversation, he goes, "Yeah, tell your dad that you ran into Matt from Haas." And I went, "Oh, well, I hate to be the guy who has to bear this bad news to you, but he passed away 5 months ago." And the guy's face absolutely dropped. And I was like, no, it's okay. It's okay. Like, you didn't know. It's totally fine. It's unfortunate that I have to tell you this, but yeah, that is true. And he's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And you could tell he was visibly uncomfortable. So we end up standing there and I'm buying each other beers, watching the game, talking sports and all this stuff. And halfway through, he's like talking about Haas and everything. He's like, "Yeah, we have an F1 team." I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm well aware." And he's like, "Oh, you like F1?" I was like, big fan of F1, know a lot about it. And he's like, "Give me your email and your address. I'll send you some Haas gear." So he sent me a Haas shirt. And that's why I'm wearing it. And also because Ollie Behrman ended up in the points this week.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to Ollie Behrman.
Haas. That's so much better than McLaren because I did a story at a McLaren dealership and I'm like, "Hey, can I get like a hat?" This was what I'm like, "I'll even take Daniel Ricciardo. I don't care." They're like, "Dude," and this is the dealer. He's like, "We can't even take that stuff home." I was like, "Damn." Meanwhile, Haas is just like, "Hey, here's Haas stuff. Take it."
Not only did I get this shirt, he couldn't remember my size, so he sent me one a size bigger too. I got 2 shirts.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's a pump cover, my friend.
Yeah, you're damn right.
Or it can be sent to one of your esteemed colleagues, friends, and podcast co-hosts.
Well, Katie I mean, you can wear a 2X as a sleep shirt, I guess.
I
I
was
don't
gonna
know.
say that's like
It
a
could be a
dress.
dress on me. I like a Haas dress.
All right, I'll send you the 2X. Why not?
Our Canadian queen rocking American sports apparel. We love
Next,
it.
next up on the Gridiron Pod's Instagram
that
feed,
part
a
really
picture of Katie in a 2X Haas t-shirt. No feet pics. The feet will not be included.
Thank you. You know me
can talk
so
about
well.
You got to pay for those.
Yeah, we can talk about that later.
Free feet in the year of our Lord 2025. Good
In
to
this
me.
economy?
In this economy?
In either of our economies? There's actually a tariff on feet pics if you didn't know.
Yeah.
Yes, geopolitical tensions.
This has been episode 82 of the Gridiron Podcast. For Nick Shook and Katie Caldwell, I'm Sean Barry. As always, join the chat. You can find us on YouTube. Where, Nick?
At Gridiron Pod, youtube.com/@GridironPod.
And then on Instagram at Gridiron Pod, and on email or via email. I don't know why I keep saying on email.
Email. On
God,
the cyber
you can
web.
Find us via email. Email us. We'd love to hear from you guys. That is what? The Gridiron Podcast 3. The Gridiron Podcast 3. Damn those other two. At gmail.com. Thanks so much for joining us for episode 82. Any last words, guys?
100% tariffs on knuckle sandwiches.
I'll take 2.
Good night,
all-
Canada.
All for me.